Today on Play to Win, Auburn, Ole Miss, Manning and Brady, Sandra Golden on the Todd Gurley suspension, plus injury updates, fantasy football, and the Falcons are 4-point underdogs during their bye week. Play to Win is being brought to you by the Southeastern Nissan dealers and Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers.
Welcome to Play to Win with former Falcons All-Pro defensive end Chuck Smith. Fantasy Football League previews with Adam Brown. Game analysis with Nikki Williams. Play to Win expert Jeffrey the Ed Schechter. Medical and injury update with Dr. Andrew Lalage. And your host, Atlanta sports veteran Bob Neal. Our college football report is being brought to you by Mall of Georgia, Chrysler Dodge Jeep, and Kia Mall of Georgia. Dr. Lalage will be along later, of course, with his player medical report. Nikki and Jeffrey are off this week, although Jeffrey left us his picks. So let's meet the stars on the set today, beginning with Adam Brown. Adam, great to have you again. And Chris Dimino, our guest analyst. It's great to get you on the show. We've been trying to do that.
Appreciate it, Bob.
You're so booked up. He's so booked up. But he's got a lot of opinions. I know that. He'll have them for the end of the show. And, of course, our go-to guy, former Falcon All-Pro, Chuck Smith.
Good to be here.
All right, let's get started. College football, we're talking about it. Everybody's talking about the College Football Playoff Committee and the first poll that came out this week that's going to eventually lead on December 7th to the Final Four in the first year of the college football playoffs. Want to show you also 11 through 16 because these teams could also be sent to a bowl by the playoff committee.
Bob, I think it really starts with, number one, the perception of the Southeastern Conference. And the reality is they have been the bullies over the last 5 or 6 years when it comes to winning championships. I think it shows up because they're talking strength of schedule, and a lot of that had to do with, this top four.
What do you think about this coming out right now and what attention should be paid toward it, Chris?
Well, here's what I think. I think the numbers don't mean anything. I think what's most important is, do you control your own destiny and how tough is your road? The other part is I think I spent a lot of time doing what a lot of other people were doing, trying to figure out how the committee was thinking coming out of the first one, more so than I cared about what the actual ranking was.
Yeah, Adam, what's your take on this first poll?
I think the committee got it right. They got it right. They're going with the teams that are the hottest teams in the country, that are the strongest teams in the country, rather than worrying what the West Coast is saying and the Midwest is saying and the East Coast is saying. They're doing what they're supposed to do, getting the 4 best teams in there right now. It's all going to change.
And you saw, speaking of that, you saw all those SEC West teams up there at the top, but that's going to change because they're all playing each other. Take a look at the remaining schedule here for the SEC West. If you look down at the 29th, Ole Miss, Alabama, Mississippi State, Auburn, they're all playing each other. These teams are going to basically be eliminating themselves as they go along. Somebody's going to be eliminated from the Final Four.
Right, and I think when you look at it, it's going to benefit teams, I believe, like Oregon. I think it's going to benefit the East, the West, and all the different teams. I think the SEC teams, they're going to beat each other up. And I think what the committee is ultimately looking for, to me, is fairness.
Out of that group, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Auburn, Alabama, who comes out?
I think Alabama's the most talented team, but I'm going to take Ole Miss. I just think at some point their defense is going to be just good enough to make sure. Here's the most difficult part. You're asking teams to go on 5-week playoff runs. It's really hard to do, mentally and physically. Let's find out. May the best man win. I do think Ole Miss defense might be that unit.
And it all gets started in our college football showdown of the week, brought to you by the Georgia Lottery. We're going to start once again with you, Chuck. How do you see Auburn at Ole Miss? And by the way, Auburn has to play at Ole Miss, at Georgia, and at Alabama.
Well, it's got to start with, number one, Ellis Johnson, defensive coordinator at Auburn, has to figure out a way to get pass rush. Bo Wallace is coming out. He's got weapons on the end. I expect that this Ole Miss team will come out throwing the ball. Auburn has to develop some pass rush, or they're going to lose more than one more game.
All right, Chris, how do you see it?
I'm going to give you 2 things I never thought I'd say about Ole Miss. Ranked recruiting class, home field advantage. It's pretty incredible to think that Ole Miss has put themselves in a position to have those 2 things talked about November 1st, looking for a shot at a national title.
Adam, I know you have a caveat about Ole Miss.
Auburn is 10th in the country in rushing the football.
Right.
How did LSU beat Ole Miss last weekend?
Right.
They rushed the football 55 times. For Auburn to win this football game, you've got to run the football with some consistency.
And some injuries on the Ole Miss defensive line. Denzel Kimdichi's out. Robert Kimdichi is hurt, and there are some other injuries there, too, that could be a problem. We come back in just a moment to talk about the Georgia Bulldogs, Georgia-Florida weekend on Hometown Team Report. Stay with us on Play to Win.
We're still under construction at Kia Mall of Georgia, building a new dealership to serve you, Atlanta. But we've got too many cars in the way, and they've got to go. We've still got a great selection of 2015 Kia Optimas, starting at just $17,997. Unbelievable price on a new 2015 Kia Sorento LX, starting at only $19,997. All inventory drastically reduced, and lenders standing by with a 100% loan approval goal. Kia Mall of Georgia, 2.5 miles west of the Mall of Georgia, or online at lovemykia.com.
It's so important to make someone happy. Make just one heart-to-heart you. You sing to one smile that cheers you, one face that lights when it nears you.
Play the Monopoly Millionaires Club lottery game, making more and more millionaires.
Your life moves fast, so when your plumbing goes bad, we know you want it fixed fast. I'm Brian Estes, inviting you to see what we can provide with our plumbing services. We're dedicated to the same high standards of quality we've held ourselves to since 1949. From leak repairs to water pressure, from water heaters to toilet issues. Estes is dependable, proven, and ready to help. Call Estes and we'll fix it at the speed of light.
We're Estes Services. We'll fix it at the speed of life.
Hometown Team Report is being brought to you by Mellow Mushroom Pizza Bakers, bringing a higher order of pizza to Atlanta for 40 years.
All right, it is time for the Hometown Team Report. And you know the story already about Todd Gurley, Georgia's great running back, suspended 4 games by the NCAA for the autograph signing incidents for money. Now, a lot of Georgia fans are saying that's too much. But Sandra Golden, in her 68 seconds with 680 The Fan, says maybe Gurley and Georgia got a break.
Todd Gurley of 2012 is a much different Todd Gurley of 2014. Georgia, do you realize how lucky you are to even see him on the field again this year? I say that because it's very black and white when it comes to the NCAA and their decision, especially when it comes to money. $700 is the cutoff. If you receive over $700 worth, it's an automatic 30% of the season, which is where that 4 games comes from. But up to $3,000, the NCAA could have said you are done. But kudos to Georgia and Mark Richt and Mr. McGarity. They handled it perfectly. The NCAA commended the Bulldogs in turning over the information. The timeline we hear, this past Friday, they needed more from Georgia, and it was all handled nicely. If there's a silver lining, Bob Neal, and if there is one, you are at least getting back fresh legs from a Todd Gurley to play in what looks like the Super Bowl now in Athens for Georgia on the 15th of November against Auburn.
By the way, you look marvelous. The silver lining is, in fact, a silver lining. He'll be fresh November 15th versus Auburn. And speaking of Georgia, we talked about the SEC West just a couple of minutes ago. Here's the remaining schedule for Georgia. Georgia will probably be favored in all of those games, except maybe not against Auburn at Athens on November 15th. And that's the Georgia schedule. And guys, let's get started talking about this. And the key, I think, on this is Georgia and Florida. Now, Florida is definitely going to be a big underdog on this. Jeffrey will pick it later in the show, by the way. But Adam, this could be a very critical game for Georgia. It's not a walkover.
Let's talk about holding on to the football and turnover margin. Georgia is number 1 in the country in turnover margin at plus 13. Florida turns the ball over 16 times so far this season. If Georgia holds on to the football, takes away the football from Florida, Georgia rolls.
How do you see the ball game?
If I'm the University of Florida, I'm putting 8 guys on the line of scrimmage, and I am challenging Hudson Mason to throw the ball. I am sending more blitzes than you've ever seen in college football history if I'm Will Muschamp to save my job and let Hudson Mason win the game.
Any way this can be a trap game for Georgia?
Well, here's the deal. To me, goal line defense is going to matter. Is Hudson Mason going to throw the football down around a goal line? Will they allow him to do that? It's funny you say throw the sink at them. I'm going to turn it around. Trayon Harris in Florida, I'm throwing the sink. I'm going to the kitchen, the bathroom, any sink I have in my house, and anything else I might be able to find to pick up and throw at them as well. I'm not letting them see things that they've seen with Jeff Driscoll. I'm going completely opposite. They had a bye week. Maybe a little chicanery was thrown into their mix.
All right, let's talk about Georgia Tech and Virginia in our hometown team report. Georgia Tech and Virginia, big game in the Coastal Division, and Georgia Tech's running the ball, controlling the ball, the offense clicking, but defensive problems for the Yellow Jackets.
Right. And Virginia's offensive coordinator Steve Fairchild. That's what he wants to do, run it, slow the game down. Georgia Tech, they have to stop the run, and they've done a great job by surviving by getting turnovers to the tune of 16, Bob. They need to keep doing that, but they got to stop the run to keep winning.
All right, it's time to talk Falcons on our hometown team report. Falcons, of course, with that incredible blowing a 21-point lead, losing 22-21 last week. And Chris, my question to you, Mr. Say It Like It Is, are the Falcons going to fire Mike Smith?
And what have you done for me lately, world? 6-18 is not doing enough. And I do think Arthur Blank, his statements after that game, there's no way you lose that game. Never have two sentences told me more about a mindset with 8 games left. If it doesn't get marketably better, and I mean marketably better, plus help of the the NFC South being down, I think Mike Smith's going to have a really hard time in that exit interview to explain why he should keep the job.
I thought it was interesting that you, for just a moment, confused the SEC and the NFC South. The SEC West may be a little better than the NFC South.
Yeah, it is one of those, somebody will win, thank goodness for attrition.
How do you see it with Mike Smith?
Well, how I see it with Mike Smith, I think it comes down to whoever made the decisions on the personnel. I'm not in those meetings, but the bottom line is it's personnel driven. I believe that talent wins and coaches can only coach. So I think will they fire Mike Smith now? I'd say no. But I believe they got whoever's the person responsible for personnel needs to be held accountable for what they're putting on the field right now.
It's time for you to make the decision, Arthur Blank. And you know that. I know one thing. He can make the decisions. All right, now it's time for Jeffrey, who's not with us this week, but as usual, he left his picks. And here are the predictions for the hometown team report.
Florida is not a good team. Desperate team with a desperate coach trying to save his job. A win over Georgia might save his job, but I don't think he's going to win against Georgia. If Georgia plays the way they're supposed to play, just run the ball down their throat, they'll kill Florida. Give the 13. Again, I like Tech. Numbers small, 3.5. Virginia is a good team. They don't have much offense, but give the 3.5 with Tech at home.
All right, as you see, Victor has joined us. You know what that means? Hey. You guys were so good in the first block that you're getting pizza.
That's right.
Thank you. Awesome. Mellow mushroom pizza being delivered. Pass this down.
Nice.
Victor, thanks for bringing a pizza again.
Thanks for having us.
I got to tell you, the aroma, there's a lot of love of pizza aroma in this studio right now. We'll be back in just a moment as we continue with Play to Win.
The Wizard, can you make me real so I can eat real mellow mushroom pizza instead of cartoon pizza?
Stand back. Here we go. Alakazam! Wiggity stickity poof!
I'm still a cartoon.
Then that'd be a no.
Everyone wants real mellow mushroom pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness.
Wiggity stickity poof.
Mellow mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
Right after I got hurt in my car wreck, the other guy's insurance company offered to fix my car, but they only offered me $750 for my injuries, and then they wanted me to sign this.
Don't sign anything until you've talked to me. I'm Attorney John Foy, the Strong Arm. You may be giving up tens of thousands of dollars by signing the insurance company's release form. Call me.
That same day, the insurance company said they'll fix my car and offered me this check for $600.
Don't take that check. Let me get you the money you deserve. Call in the Strong Arm.
The Big Finish is underway at Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Closeout prices on the 2014 Ram Crew Cab. Save $10,000 off. Sale priced at only $25,999. A super deal on the 2014 Dodge Charger. Take $9,000 off MSRP. And during Chrysler's Great American Drive event, get $6,000 off MSRP on a 2015 Chrysler 200. The Big Finish at Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram or online at yourdodge.com.
Today's Player Medical Report is being brought to you by Piedmont Healthcare, now a certified member of the MD Anderson Cancer Network.
Joined now by the Chief Medical Officer of the Radiology Group and the creator of InsideInjuries.com, Dr. Andrew Lalage. But some of our emails, by the way, have been saying, let's call him Dr. McDreamy. How do you feel about the Dr. McDreamy tag?
I said, look out, Grey's Anatomy. Look out, Grey's Anatomy.
I'm a little uncomfortable with that, so let's go right to the medical report.
Absolutely.
I know you are too. We're going to talk about Tony Romo to get started here. And Tony Romo injured his back in the last game. He says it's not the same as the surgery, but you know what it is and what the situation is with Tony.
That's right. So Tony Romo had a disc herniation surgery in 2013. That's actually taking a piece of the disc out or lasering it to fix it and fuse it. When he went down on the last game, I was really fearful of another disc at another level. And you hear words like limited and out for the season. We will wait to see what that MRI shows.
All right, let's get started with your player grades. We start with Giovanni Bernard.
Yes, he's been on my board for the third time. He started out at an A- and now he's down to a B. Pretty significant shoulder injury and hip injury. 6 words for you: Jeremy Hill, Jeremy Hill, Jeremy Hill.
All right, how about Alex Smith?
If you look at his report card, you see a lot of the similar words: shoulder, shoulder, shoulder. Quarterback shoulder injury is pretty devastating. He's down to 55%.
Jordan Cameron.
So Jordan Cameron, you know, as a tight end, you got to lift your arm above your shoulder, and with a shoulder AC joint sprain, it really limits that abduction movement. He's down to 60%.
You know, all the players get hurt, but some of them are injured. That means Doug Martin.
Doug Martin has sort of been an ambulance the whole year. Now he has a pretty significant knee and ankle injury on the same leg. I would not start him as well.
So you're saying don't start any of these guys you just showed grades on?
Don't start any of them because they have pretty significant injuries. If they play, they may be limited and you will lose.
All right, that's it. Dr. Andrew Lalage. We'll be back with him, of course, again next week.
Dr.
And we'll
McDreamy.
continue. Dr. McDreamy, as he likes to be called, ladies. And we'll be back in just a moment as we continue with Play to Win. Dream on.
It's Play It Again Reloaded, only from the Georgia Lottery.
It's that time again.
Play It Again is back by popular demand, and it's better than ever. Earn points to win flat screens, golf clubs, all kinds of amazing prizes. There's even a monthly chance to win $1 million. And now you can enter your Powerball and Mega Millions tickets along with $1 and $2 scratchers.
Should I bring the garbage can back inside?
Oh, God.
Yeah. Your second chance is here. It's Play It Again Reloaded, only from the Georgia Lottery.
Coaches put a lot of hard work in building championship teams. When it comes to fighting childhood cancer, it's the doctors and researchers who are working tirelessly at defeating this terrible disease. Youth sports teams across America are raising money for childhood cancer research through Coaches Curing Kids Cancer. The teams make a donation in honor of their coach, and in return, the coach receives a nice gift: a personalized certificate and a great feeling of helping kids kick cancer. CuringKidsCancer.org.
Today's injury report is brought to you by John Foy and Associates. If you've been injured in an accident, be sure to call John Foy, the strong arm.
All right, this is the NFL injury report brought to you by John Foy and Associates. And as we take a look at the injured players this week, you'll note that the Colt McCoy era didn't last long in Washington. Robert Griffin III with his ankle listed as probable. They've now said he's going to start this week's games. The other injuries are A.J. Green, still got that problem with his toe. He's probable. Tony Romo, questionable with the back, as Dr. Lalage told us that is definitely highly questionable. Peterson is probable, and Jennings and Taylor are out. And that is the NFL injury report brought to you by John Foy and Associates. And now it's time for the Estes Heating Fantasy Report, brought to you by Estes Services, Who's Hot and Who's Cold. And we get started with Who's Cold, and that are the teams. There are 6 who are on bye this week, including your Atlanta Falcons, Buffalo, Chicago, Detroit, Green Bay, and Tennessee. And Adam Brown is going to talk about those and the firepower that'll be missing from the fantasy leagues this week. We're going to get to that a little bit later on his sleepers, but let's start with Who's Hot with the quarterbacks.
Andrew Luck is having one of the best seasons ever for an NFL quarterback. In the last 6 games, he's thrown 17 touchdown passes, and in the last 7 out of 8 games, he's thrown for 310 yards or more.
Wow. How about hot running backs?
Your boy from Michigan, Denard Robinson.
Shoelaces.
Shoelaces. The guy doesn't tie his shoelaces, but he's had back-to-back 100-yard games. The Bengals have given up at least 1 touchdown in the past 5.
All right. How about wide receivers?
Well, Andrew Luck's got to throw the ball to somebody, so who's he going to throw it to?
T.Y. Hilton.
T.Y. Hilton. He's had 3 straight 100-yard games. In those 3 games, he's totaled 22 catches, 485 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's pretty solid.
Wow. And under Who's Cold, we're taking a look at a guy well known here in Atlanta.
Michael Vick. doesn't matter who plays quarterback for the New York Jets, they're all going to be cold. But especially when you play the Kansas City Chiefs this week, who are giving up only 14.6 points to opposing quarterbacks.
Now, you mentioned the bye week. There's a lot of firepower missing there.
Matt Ryan, Kyle Orton, Jay Cutler, Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, that's enough right there.
I mean, it's tons of players.
Leads us to the sleepers.
Absolutely, and that sleeper quarterback this week is Ryan Fitzpatrick. Look, you have a lot of players out this week. Ryan Fitzpatrick, you pick up on waivers. He's going to have a decent week against Philly's D that's giving up 22 points per game to quarterbacks, the third most in the NFL.
All right, here you
Thank
go.
you.
Great job again.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.
All right, the Fantasy Report, Adam Brown. We'll be back with the NFL right after this.
Your life moves fast, so when your plumbing goes bad, we know you want it fixed fast. I'm Tommy Estes, inviting you to see what we can provide with our plumbing services. We're dedicated to the same high standards of quality we've held ourselves to since 1949. From leak repairs to water pressure, from water heaters to toilet issues, Estes is dependable, proven, and ready to help. Call Estes and we'll fix it at the speed of life.
We'll fix it at the speed of life.
Right after I got hurt in my car wreck, the other guy's insurance company offered to fix my car. They only offered me $750 for my injury. And they wanted me to sign this.
Don't sign anything until you've talked to me. I'm attorney John Foy, the Strong Arm. You may be giving up tens of thousands of dollars by signing the insurance company's release form. Call me.
And they offered me this check for $1,000.
Don't take that check. Let me get you the money you deserve. Call in the Strong Arm.
Call attorney John Foy, the Strong Arm. The NFL Report is brought to you by the Greater Atlanta Nissan dealers. Innovation that excites.
And welcome back. Time to talk a little NFL. And by the way, Jeffrey's going to have his picks at the end of this segment and on the lightning round. And if you don't get those picks, you can go to playingtowin.TV. Remember, playingtowin.tv, the picks and more. It's a great website. Try it out. Now let's take a look at the key NFL games this week. Arizona, Dallas, Denver, New England, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Philly, Houston, all big games. But let's start with Arizona, Dallas, and what's going to go on in that game, Chris Dimino.
Everybody wants to talk about Tony Romo. Will he, won't he? How effectively can he play? Let me talk about the other guy who's never going to get talked about. His name is Carson Palmer. 1 interception, 156 attempts. That's it. If you want to know why Arizona can win on any given day, Carson Palmer now respects the football, I think, more than he ever did in his career. Time for Bruce Arians to actually get the credit. He waited a long time to become a head coach. He's doing his job right now.
All right, Dallas has surprised everybody this year. How do you see this game?
Well, I see this as defense, and I know Dallas right now is running the ball with DeMarco Murray, but the best defense is a great running game. And this defense last year in 2013, they were 32nd in the league. This year, they're 14th. They're giving effort. They're no name, but those guys play really hard in Dallas.
All right, Denver and New England, and let's get started with you, Adam, on this one. Everybody talks Brady and Manning, of course, but how do you see the game?
Well, let's talk about Bill Belichick giving credit to somebody other than his own team. Bill Belichick said Peyton Manning's the best player he's ever coached against. This game comes down to one thing. If Peyton Manning can throw the ball consistently downfield to Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas, and Julius Thomas, because New England's only giving up 211 yards passing per game.
Chuck.
Well, I think the key to this is going to be, number one, the Denver defense. I believe right now that's going to be the catalyst that pushes Denver to the Super Bowl. Even though I'm picking Green Bay to win it all, I think they're going to face Denver, but I love this Denver team.
I think Denver learned in the Super Bowl what they had to fix this offseason. I agree with you. They did it, the defensive side of the football. What's really amazing to me is never in the history of sports have two guys been so linked that are never on the field at the same time.
Now, let's take a look at what Jeffrey has to say about the picks, beginning with Arizona, Dallas.
Dallas might be a little beaten up. They did not look good against Washington last week. Arizona knows how to win. That is a good team. Take the points with Arizona. Denver, New England at home getting 3. Gotta like New England. Been watching football for a long time. I never saw a quarterback throw a ball like Roethlisberger did last week. I like Pittsburgh. I pick them against Baltimore at home.
All right, we got more of Jeffrey in just a second on the lightning round. Stay with us on Play to Win.
It's Play It Again Reloaded, only from the Georgia Lottery.
It's that time again.
Play It Again is backed by popular demand, and it's better than ever. Earn points to win flat screens, golf clubs, all kinds of amazing prizes. There's even a monthly chance to win $1 million. And now you can enter your Powerball and Mega Millions tickets along with $1 and $2 scratchers.
Should I bring the garbage can back inside?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Your second chance is here. It's Play It Again Reloaded, only from the Georgia Lottery.
Why can't I have a slice of yours?
You're a cartoon. You can only have cartoon pizza.
It's not fair.
Look, this pie is 100% real, and you're colored ink.
It's physics, man.
Well, can you buy me a beer?
I can buy you a cartoon beer. Are you single?
It's a pride.
Everyone wants real mellow mushroom pizza because our pies use premium meats and cheeses, fresh veggies, and spring water dough baked with wheat goodness. Mellow mushroom, a higher order of pizza.
There's nothing like waking up on that first cold day of winter weather and turning on your heating system only to find out it doesn't work. I'm Tommy Estes. Call Estes Services ahead of time and avoid the discomfort. With our pre-season maintenance and safety inspection, your system can be running at peak efficiency. Call us today or visit estesair.com and find out everything this inspection offers. Save energy and money with dual fuel. Call your man for all seasons at Estes.
We'll fix it at the speed of light.
Now the lightning round with Jeffrey the Edge Schechter, and he begins by talking about the Rodney Dangerfields of college football.
Duke gets no respect. I can't understand how Pittsburgh, after watching them last week against Georgia Tech, could be favored over anybody. Take the 3.5 points with the Blue Devils. Utah's a good team. They're a tough team. I like the 6 with the Utes. It's time for Oregon to take control of that conference. If they win all their games, they'll go to the Final Four. Give the 8 with the Ducks. Miami is playing great ball. They're home. They're a very physical, tough team. Give the 1.5 with Miami. Houston, another tough team, playing good ball. They're home. Philly, I think there's some question marks. I like Houston at home with the 2. 2 weeks ago, Indianapolis shut out Cincinnati. Everybody thought, well, maybe they're the best team in the NFL. Last week, they couldn't stop Pittsburgh. Like Jerry Glanville said, the NFL stands for not for long. But I think Indianapolis will be back this week, and I think they give the Giants a beating. Give the points with the Colts.
How appropriate was that? Not for long. In the lightning round, no less. Now, Dr. Lalagie's joined us on set with his medical sleeper for your fantasy leagues. Who is it?
Dwayne Allen of the Indianapolis Colts. He has an A- grade through the season already, and they're playing the Giants' banged-up defense. Dwayne Allen, Indianapolis Colts.
All right, last week, by the way, Chuck, everybody applaud Chuck. Chuck picked LSU. Oh, the only one over Ole Miss. Get everything on here, by the way, by going to playingtowin.tv. And this week, you'll also be able to see Chris Domino, our guest analyst from 680 The Fan. Thank you, Chris. Nikki will be back next week, along with Jeffrey on set. Remember, you should play to win.
Play to Win has been brought to you by John Foy and Associates and Kia Mall of Georgia and Mall of Georgia Chrysler Dodge Jeep.